And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Salutations, Buccaneers fans and RBLR family. Welcome back to another episode of RBLR Bucs. I'm Usab, one of your co-hosts tonight, and as always, thank you so much for tapping in with us. Whether you're watching live or catching the replay, we seriously appreciate y'all. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel more than you know. It keeps you locked in on everything RBLR has going on across all Tampa Bay sports, covering the Rays, the Rowdies, Sun, even our USF Bulls and our Lightning as well. So let's get into it. So the good news is we are, as always, blessed to be talking about our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but unfortunately, we are here to talk about another painful loss. Not even this past weekend. It was last Thursday, which somehow, for me, made the weekend feel even longer and a little bit more depressing because, look, no Bucs football on Sunday. And when we did have a Buccaneers football game, you know how that went. So, 28-29 loss. It's absolutely nasty. We're all frustrated. It's real. It's justified, okay? But somehow, let me just say this, somehow, thanks to the football gods doing their weird magic in the NFC South, there's still hope. And that brings us to this Sunday because the Buccaneers have the Panthers. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the game of the year for Tampa. I hate to say it, but low-key, a lot of this season comes down to this matchup. And trust me, we're going to be digging deep into that tonight. But we can't go any further, though. A huge shout-out to my iconic co-host tonight, all right? He is coming in hot like a defensive coordinator, walking into a haunted house. He's cautious, stressed, looking for answers, all right? Look, we're going to keep it real, folks. The vibes are spooky. The Bucs are losing. The pressure is on, and he's feeling it just like the rest of us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. Zach Blaine. Zach, what's going on, man? What's going on in that football mind of yours?
Whole lot of nothing right now, brother. I'm at a loss, dude. It's one of those things where, like, I kind of was right, but I didn't want to be right at the beginning of the year. I'm not sure how to feel about Tampa right now.
Neither do I. It's, there was always that sort of pessimism in the air as a joke, and then you're like, oh, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if we get, cooked up, and we weren't getting cooked up until boom, end of the fourth quarter. So that's the part that, just hurts the most. It really does. And it just, the loss before was bad enough. And then there's this one, and it's just ugly. It really is. And I don't even know where to go from there, but I guess some news before we, kind of recap, and kind of dig deep more into that Falcons game is, Anthony Walker Jr. is going to be returning. The Buccaneers are signing him off the Colts practice squad. Again, just a rather nothing, exciting, I guess. But did you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, he should have never been cut in the first place. I know that we had talked in the group chat about some. Hold on, Hazel. I know we had talked in the group chat about him having injury history, but at this point, I think that would fit this the whole team's vibe pretty on brand. So
yeah,
I'm excited for it. I think realistically, he could come in and be the best linebacker on this team right away, which is insane to think about someone coming off the practice squad of another team and being an instant upgrade, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, you can only go up from here, based on what we've seen and what we have. And yeah, the injury bug is a rather it's been all around our team, and it just sucks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever impact he can make. I feel like will just be very, very helpful. So we'll see how that goes, and it just makes you think. What other kind of move could be made, this late into the season? I guess more of a kind of maybe somewhat of a Hail Mary situation. Yeah, yep, he just was. But I've also been a little bit, I don't know, from what I've seen, I don't think he's really done anything, especially this season.
who's done anything on our team.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick. Like, I would replace Hassan Reddick with Judon
Yeah.
just to see, like,
Yeah. I mean, I'd be down to snag him for the chump change. I guess comes down to then the money part. How much we're willing to give him. How much does he want?
it couldn't be expensive. We've got 3 games left.
Yeah. So
Plus, he's still getting paid from Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So realistically, on the cheap vet minimum kind of deal, and run with it.
Yeah.
We
like
definitely need edge help.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, we do. We need all kinds of help, man. I think that's the sad part. And I think we'll just kind of, get right into it. Just recapping the Falcons game. The big thing, and I feel like all eyes are on us blowing that fourth quarter lead. We were up 28-14 early in the fourth quarter. We allowed Atlanta to score like 15 unanswered points, and then the walk-off field goal. I guess I want to ask you, where did we go wrong? Just because then I'm also thinking, I mean, the Falcons, they played a god awful game, and they were handing out penalties to us, 125 yards. So it just makes me, I guess the question is, I think this was more of a Falcons or a Bucs loss than a Falcons win. That's, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're not far off. It was ugly to watch. 28 points in the NFL should be enough to win. Might not be a comfortable win, but 28 points in the NFL should be enough to win. With that being said, when your defense plays the way that ours has been playing all season, it's not something new. Our defense has not been good all year. At no point in that game did I feel comfortable. And so it's going to get put on Baker. And I mean, that's fair. He didn't have a good game. Like, he didn't have a terrible game, but it wasn't as bad as people are making it out to look like. I think this goes deeper than our offense or our defense just not playing good. Something is missing in that locker room, and it is blatantly obvious right now. And I think it's fair to say that this is a Tampa loss, not a Falcons win 100%.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's got to be, choke of the season, just the way it turned out. I mean, I guess, there's always some sort of positives, but we're just dealing with, I have to say, just a lot of injuries as well. And, it's really hard for me to kind of just, point it on one person, to be honest. But
we're not that injured right now.
Yeah, but it's just then on top of that, just the miscommunication and just poor effort. Really, I saw it here and there from just everyone. Just miscommunication between Baker and Ibuka, and then offensive line just not really getting the play down. I mean, there were some times I remember I specifically saw it. Where Baker thought about going for the run. He saw Caden Ellis, and then I remember Dan Feeney is like, they're like triple teaming one guy, and it's like there's no need to at that point, man. Look for something else, go for the block. These are just, kind of just the very, pinpointing just very small things, but just a conglomeration of all things. I have to say, I feel like, Baker, maybe may have held the ball along, a couple of times here and there. So it just.
And I feel like I can't stress enough, I'm not excusing Baker for not playing to his potential.
Yeah.
Right now. He has shown us he's much better than what he's putting out right now. So I'm not necessarily defending him. While I'm defending him, I'm not defending him. Like, he needs to step up his game, and he'll admit it. He's said it in multiple interviews this week. Like, don't put the blame on coach, put it on me. And that's fair. As a quarterback, that's who you want running your team. Someone that's willing to take the blame and correct it. But I do think a lot of it too is, and why I'm not putting it solely on him, is why are we throwing the ball up 2 scores in the fourth quarter with like 9 minutes left? Why are we doing that? Run some clock. Yeah. And so I'm just, the more and more that we watch this Josh Grizzard-led offense, the more that I'm just annoyed with it. So while I do think Baker should be held accountable to an extent, I don't think that like there's people out there that move on from Baker for what? Like he's given us half of a bad season realistically out of his 3 years here. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. I too am just wondering now the same thing. This poor clock management. What exactly are we doing? Because yeah, I mean, you're thinking, okay, I think we're about to run away with the win, and then out of nowhere, boom, they're coming back, and it just, I mean, what was it? It was third and like 24.
Third and 28 because
Third
I
and
only know that
28.
because Falcons 28-3.
Yeah.
It was third and 28 and then fourth and 14, and we're running a zone, which a lot of people are hating on. It was Vildor in the zone, the shallow zone.
Yep.
A lot of people are hating on him. I don't put that on him either. He played that right. If you're in a zone defense there and Bijan comes out in the backfield, that's your area. You've got to cover that. I think the bigger problem is calling that play in that situation, which falls back on Todd Bowles because he's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I know that Vildor is going to get a lot of hate, and I've seen him get a lot of hate. I don't think you can put that on him when the play call is a shallow zone there.
Yeah. No, it just I mean, this is where, you think, well, where's that defensive guru Todd Bowles when you need him the most? You know what I'm saying? So
MIA as usual in the middle of the season.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I also just felt like it just, we know what kind of defense we have, and unfortunately, it hasn't been anything stellar, especially the pass rush. Their pass rush was looking pretty darn good. I mean, we allowed 5 sacks. So just thinking about it, though, I mean, they were still really just handing us that game. But enough with the negativity. I did want to, kind of give a shout out to Jalen McMillan and Mike Evans returning. Real nice kind of seeing them. Mike Evans finishing with 132 receiving yards, 6 catches. Hit his first 100-yard game in a while. And then Jalen McMillan, he played pretty darn well. Almost got a touchdown. I know it was close, but man, I gotta say, dude, honestly, I'm pretty impressed. Looking from the kind of health perspective on how his neck has recovered, or the doctors gave him the green light, and I guess rightfully so. But I mean, even that almost touchdown looked like it was kind of tough on the neck too. But it's just like, hey, man, if you're good to go.
When they hit him, did you cringe a little bit? Like, ooh,
yeah, I was like, damn.
I was like, no, please don't.
I was like, oh my God, of course you had to get tackled like that. Of course you had to go down like that. But no, those are two. I think it was nice to see. I guess Baker getting his his starters back, and Godwin scored. I still feel like Mayfield's production was still solid. I mean, look, he threw 2 touchdown passes, almost 280 yards. So when his weapons are healthy and his protection is decent, he can get cooking. So. Hey, look, it's a team sport, so it has to all work out. It's a domino effect. Once one thing goes down, then it can get real ugly. So, but I gotta say though, is where do we exactly go from here? And of course, I don't understand this thing is, and I feel like we've seen it so much. What is it with the Buccaneers defense and opponent tight ends, and especially just leaving the middle open? Because I just feel like I see it way too often. Kyle Pitts just absolutely feasted on us.
He had a career day. Every statistical career best is now from Thursday night for him.
Ugh.
And that's not even like me being a smartass or anything. Literally, first 3 touchdown game, highest career receiving yards in a game, and most catches in a game are all against Tampa last Thursday. This goes back to us having poor middle linebacker play out of Levante David, and I think Deion Jones was playing a lot yesterday. That's the big issue. The second issue is when your linebackers aren't covering, you're putting the shortest corner on the field on one of the biggest pass catchers in the NFL. They had Jacob Parrish covering Kyle Pitts most of the night when it wasn't a linebacker situation. So in that situation, like, you can't scheme it that way. You're not going to have, like, that's like saying Christian Isian is going to cover Kyle Pitt. That's not going to ever happen. Like, I don't care how talented you are. If a dude's got you beat by 1.5 feet, like, you're going to lose that battle. And then with our linebackers being poor in coverage this season, I think that that's another glaring hole that needs to be fixed. It's destined to happen. I think any tight end needs to be excited to come play Tampa.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I feel like, unfortunately, this may be the first year that, no matter how bad the other linebacker is, at least we're like, okay, at least, we got Levante David, he's holding his, piece down. But unfortunately, that's not the case this year. And it's becoming a little bit more evident now as, Father Time is catching up to him. And
that's the sad part, is most fans don't want to admit it. It's like you're holding on to something for too long. It's like that dog you've had for 17 years that you got when you were a kid, and it's getting old, and you're like, oh, I don't want him to die. But like, your career is going to have to end at some point, brother. And maybe last year we should have called it a day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying Levante David's going to die. He's not that old, but you get the point.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. It just the whole game was inexcusable, and let's start off with, or not let's start off, but let's move on to Todd Bowles, a rather calm individual during interviews and dropping an F-bomb. So
brother,
I think that's when I feel like it hits the whole Buccaneers world that, hey man, this is. We're in some murky waters. So, the first question is, and I know we asked this last week, is this the loudest, the Fire Bowls crowd has been? So talk to me, where's your head at with this whole coach situation?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. This was the first time I ever felt like Todd Bowles was interesting. Tired of the PR answers for every question asked, every single game. Last year it was, we lost 4 or like 5 of our 6 games in a row again, and it was like, oh, it's not a snowball, blah blah blah. Like, no, I want to see the drive that he showed there. I still think he should be fired, but I want to see that drive. Like, maybe don't drop so many F-bombs. I'm guilty of saying the F-bombs myself pretty often, so it just, that was the first time I ever felt like he showed any kind of emotion and was like, to me, does that signify that, like, even he knows, all right, I'm probably out of here? Like, what do you think it signifies to see him act that way?
I think, to me, it's clearly just over. I mean, the resume of his ever since Bruce Arians left is kind of just been mediocre, and I think credit goes to just a lot of things. We're blinded, or we as the Buccaneer Society were blinded by him still winning the division, and then you're like, oh my God, look, Dave Canales learned under him and was under his wing, and now look at Dave Canales and Liam Cohen. Now look at Liam Cohen, and perhaps we were thinking maybe something like that may happen with Josh Grizzard and him. Baker, they're all going to cook it up together, but clearly none of it's working, and I think it's evident that something needs to be done during the off season. Of course, not now. I mean, what do you do from you can't get rid of the guy now and move on to who? But anyways, I think it's understandable, and I think it's very it's going to be a justified kind of reason to let him go. I just don't, I can't imagine how you could defend him at this point anymore.
And that's kind of my biggest thing. And everyone's been defending him because he's upped his wins one time every season. He went from, I believe his first season he was 8-9, won the division. Then he was 9-8 and won the division. And what are we? I think what was our record last year? 10-7.
Yeah, let me check that.
Yeah, we were 10-7.
I believe so.
So he gets these titles, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's winning the division." Well, it doesn't help that Todd Bowles in his career is like a 500 coach, maybe a little less. And in Tampa, he's 34-31. Like, he is a 500 coach.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot expect anything more than that. And the issue is that everyone is like, oh, well, in New York, he didn't have a front office that would give him this. And it's like, well, Tampa's not giving him anything either. So you've got to look at it in terms of what can he do different with this same team next year that he hasn't done the last 3 years. His defense has continued to fall to the bottom of the league. And without a Liam Cohen or without a Dave Canales, his offense can't keep up with what his defense is allowing to give up.
Yeah.
So I think that he's a good defensive coordinator when he's not calling plays, but I think he needs to have a front office role and just be like the pep talk guy in the locker room, because something's not clicking with him, and I'm glad that people are finally seeing it.
Yeah, it's just not working, and I think it's just, look, if you want to focus on the defense, just stay a defensive coordinator. But I just think that he was never, I guess, fit for the job, and sometimes it comes down to you have kind of people under you, and you're a great coach, and you help them kind of develop and get better and all that. But I don't think that's the actual case. I really think that Liam Cohen and Dave Canales were kind of just succeeding because of their own of their own ways or whatever they did. It's not like, oh man, thanks to this is not like like everyone's under Nick Saban kind of situation from Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin, all those kind of guys. That's not what it is. So,
well, and then you also have to look at, dude, I'll put your hair up in a minute, okay, baby? Sorry, Hazel's over here. No, I think you also have to look at you're welcome, baby. Or 30% of the NFL's coaches are defensive coordinators. Only 30%. Right. Got their start in the defensive realm of some sort. Mm-hmm. I think it's 11 out of 32 are defensive head coaches.
Yep.
Out of the eliminated teams last week, all the teams that were eliminated, there was 8 of them. I'm not counting the Giants necessarily because they have an interim coach. He was an offensive guy when he got fired, but taking them out of the equation, half of the eliminated teams come out of that 34%. And I know that's a weird stat to look at, but the NFL is so offensive oriented. Jesus, thank you for that. Good Lord. We need an offensive head coach. I think without having any ingenuity or anything on the offensive side of the ball, we are not going to be able to compete in future seasons.
I agree with you. Honestly, I think it's time for a change, and it's just not working. And I think not that this matters too much, but for the first time in my life, I always like to see when people when they post a Bucs win on Facebook or the Bucs loss on Facebook or Instagram. I like to see what people comment and all of that. And for the first time, when I clicked on the Buccaneers Facebook page and they posted the loss, every comment was the exact same photo. Fireballs. I'm talking everywhere. So, I think it's the same kind of situation that I'm actually currently dealing with, and maybe some of the listeners are dealing with right now. Is you look in your closet and nothing's working out, okay, and it's time for a change, all right, because your little iconic, little favorite T-shirt or whatever you have, it's just not working. So what do? All right. And it's holiday season. So it's the most beautiful time or the most wonderful time of the year to shop on RBLRsports.com. Well, I meant go to shop.RBLRsports.com. And Santa came a little early. All right. And he whispered a promo code in my ear, and he said, CANNONS, Musab, and you can get 10% off your order. So There you have it. Get you some RBLR gear, maybe for the whole fam. Great Christmas gift, or great any kind of gift. It doesn't matter. You can even get it tomorrow for your buddy's birthday or something. Pay $14.95 for expedited shipping with USPS or something, but whatever. So enough for me on that shameless little shop plug.
Before we jump into Carolina, is there anything Todd Bowles can do to change your mind on him being fired or not fired?
It's going to be hard. I just feel like he's kind of just focused just strictly on the defense. I don't even know, man. I don't know. I mean, yeah, how far do we have to go? I mean, I feel like, we're going to have to go probably, to the NFC Championship at this point, for him to keep his job, because every time we go in the playoffs, we get bounced out ever since he's been head coach. So, it doesn't matter. We got to win at least a couple games in the playoffs. Otherwise, I can't think of Todd Bowles running it back. I mean, I think there's just as you mentioned, with Levante David, there's glaring holes everywhere. Now we're looking at the coaches too. So,
well, and the problem is we can't put glaring holes on the coaches, right? That's the front office.
Yeah.
And everyone, like, I'm not hating on Jason Light. I think he's done a good job with what he was given, but at some point you got to see that it's not working out anymore. The success that you've had as a GM came from the time you spent money, came from the time you went and got Tom Brady, and then everyone wanted to come play with Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield's not Tom Brady. I understand that, but you're spending all this money putting guys like Levante David, Mike Evans. He's played really well, but he's been hurt a lot lately. Re-signing Zion McCollum, who has played awful this year. Like, you're signing all these guys that are there, and it's not been working for you. So at what point do you go, hey, let's maybe get some outside help? Like, it's not guaranteed, but if you've had failing defenses for 3 years now, those guys probably shouldn't get an extension either. And it's annoying that it all goes down to Todd Bowles and the players, when I think a big problem too might be the front office. But I think if you go in and get one playoff win, to me, that's not enough. I mean, if you play like the Rams and you get a win, then okay, like I could understand it a little more, but I don't think that there's anything saving Todd Bowles, in my opinion.
I don't think so either. Unfortunately, we have to think about what kind of Bucs team we have, and even skill wise, and with the sorts of injuries that we that pop up here and there, can we even hang with the big dogs, even if we had a good coach, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot needs to be fixed. And I mean, it just I feel like I could go on, and we could really investigate every single position and all that, but I try to at least, run away a little bit with the positives, but it's just awful the way it ended. It really is. And I feel like it was shocking. I think it was one of those kind of losses where, even if you're not, a Buccaneers fan, I think this was the first time this was the most my non-Buccaneers friends messaged me after a Buccaneers loss. So like, dude, what the hell is going on? And then I had one of my buddies attacking me like, oh, bro, weren't you defending Bulls like in the beginning of the season? And I was like, no, but the Bucs were really good in the beginning of the season. Yeah. So, I mean, I was just hype. Anyways, enough about, my off the podcast kind of situations. But hey, look, another, as I mentioned in our intro, Zach, the football gods were rather so kind to us, and they blessed New Orleans last week with the win and took down the Carolina Panthers, who we are playing this Sunday. So a little NFC South check-in just because of that Carolina loss against the Saints. We are now at the top of the NFC South, And here's how it lays out for the Bucs. I want to give a shout out to Greg Allman for letting us Buccaneers fans know on X after that Carolina loss. What exactly do we need? So any 2 wins clinches the division title, and 1 win versus the Panthers. Carolina lost to Seattle, and any Falcons loss could also help us. So my question is to you is how achievable is this? We got 3 more games to go. So look, we got Panthers 2 times, and in between we got the Dolphins who, got embarrassed by the Steelers. So how achievable is this, Zach?
30% chance. We're underdogs going to play Carolina, which a lot of people weren't happy with. They're like, oh, why are we not? But have you seen us play football the last 7 weeks or 6 weeks? I think we're 1-5 in the last 6 weeks.
Yep, we are.
And the Panthers are 5-1. I could be wrong. I think that's the right number, but
wow, yeah, I didn't. I actually should check that real quick. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's disappointing to see how the tides have turned, I guess I'll say. But
yeah.
Realistically, maybe win 1 from the Panthers. I think we split with the Panthers, and then the Dolphins, I don't know now. Quinn Ewers is starting for them. They officially benched Tua today. So you've seen Tampa when QBs are rookies against them. They usually have a pretty good game. So
yep.
I would have been happier with Tua at quarterback than Quinn Ewers, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's sad to say that, but it's always I think that's the painful thing is, as funny as it sounds, it's always those guys you don't think are going to ball out, end up balling out. It's like, oh, Drake London's out. Okay, well, that takes one of their starters out. So hopefully, we focus on, just Bijan, Kyle Pitts. But no, of course not. We allow Bijan to rack up 175, total yards, and then Kyle Pitts, over, I think it was like 166 or something. So,
yeah, he had 166 yards, 3 touchdowns.
So it just, I don't even know what else to say. But now looking at the Panthers, I mean, they had I guess a kind of a bad. Actually, I'm going to say it was a bad game. They finished with the 36.8 success rate against the Saints. Bryce Young threw for like 163 passing yards, and they collapsed late, really, and allowed Saints to rack up 172 yards in the 4th quarter. So it kind of makes me think, well, both of these teams are known to, I guess, kind of shit the bed in the 4th quarter. But, right now, what's going on in your head as to, what are your biggest concerns, or what are the, I guess, the things we need to fix, for this upcoming match?
I mean, I feel like saying things we need to fix is just going to be repetitive. It's the same stuff we talked about all season. I think the biggest advantage they have is their wide receiver core. I think, and not against like our wide receiver core, but against our defense. I think that they are much fresher and going to be better off against our defense, and I think that's their biggest advantage is throwing the ball against us. We can't get pressure. We can't get sacks. We can't stop a pass. Go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I totally agree, especially with the wide receiver situation. With Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker. I mean, now T-Mac, as what people call him, although he leads a lot, has been more of a role player than anything these last, couple, 3 games or so. So that's the kind of thing is like, who's going to step up to the plate. And I mean, on the defensive side, you have Derek Brown, who's, not good in the pass rush, below 40th in pressure rate, 32nd in stop rate. So, doesn't really grade out super well, 23rd overall in PFF grade. And then Mike Jackson, though, he's 6th amongst corners in coverage grade. And then there's J.C. Horn, who's tied for the league with 5 picks and 19th in snaps per reception. So definitely some guys to, I guess be concerned about. But Panthers also, their tendencies is, they're kind of middle of the pack, 20th in success rate. They are conservative through the air, 28th in average depth of target, middle of the pack in sack and scramble rate, and bottom third against the run and the pass. Now, seemed like they had a pretty solid. I mean, I think they racked up like 5 sacks on the Saints, and only allowed 1 sack. So that kind of caught my eye. Was okay. Well, we're gonna have to try to get Bryce Young at all costs, and we cannot be only grabbing 1 sack. I'm expecting at least a couple, but from our kind of Buccaneers lens, what are the top matchups, or what really matters for our Buccaneers fans this game?
I mean, as far as like matchups, I think it's everywhere. Like, that's such a cop-out answer, but everywhere is an important matchup. Our O-line is hurt, so we're going up against Derek Brown, who, while he might not be running things like he used to, he's still a great player. So our O-line against their D-line, and then you look at our running backs against our wide receivers against their corners. They've got 2 really good starting caliber corners over there. J.C. Warren, I think, might be a top 5 corner in the league. Mm-hmm. So Baker's got to be on point. So now you're looking at accuracy from Baker. Our ability to get a run game going. Like, there's so much that's got to go right tomorrow or Sunday, dude. It's depressing to think about, honestly.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. And I just think that it's just a lot of things are up in the air. One thing I may say, and I want to kind of see where your head's at with this situation is first of all, let's talk about our running backs. Against this Falcons, Bucky with 16 carries, and then Rashad with 1, and then Sean Tucker with 4. But if you ask me, I don't know how sustainable a 16-1 kind of ball share situation is with Bucky and Rashad White. That kind of caught my eye out of nowhere. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Now, Rashad White is not. Oh, are you okay? Okay. Do you think Rashad White should be our number 1 running back? No. I agree. So even Hazel knows. I think it is a Bucky Sean Tucker show. I think Rashad White is there for support at this point, and I think he knows it. He's posting all his stuff with Jaden Daniels back in college. Brother, go have fun in Washington. Everyone seems to forget that Rashad White had his shot and was ass. He was not a good running back. So it's hard to see these people go, it should be more evenly split. Hold on, Hazel, okay? Saying it should be more evenly split and this, that, and the other. And it's like they seem to forget that while Bucky was out, Rashad White was the lead back, and our run game was significantly worse. It's hard to see. Like, I understand the split. I think it's showing you RB 1, 2, and 3, and Rashad White is not 1 or 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think the way I see it. I mean, I still need to see. There's only so much we have. I mean, thankfully, we've seen a lot from Sean Tucker now more than ever. But I think it's more like a RB1 and then 2.1 and then 2.2, kind of specific kind of situational kind of things. So. I don't know, though. I just feel like being that reliant on Bucky. I mean, look, Bucky's a stud, though. I mean, you can't blame the Buccaneers on that. But then now looking at the Panthers' run game, if you want to I don't want to call it a 2-headed monster because they're not that much of a threat compared to other RB duos, like the Lions, for example. So, but Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, they both had a somewhat solid game against the Saints, but overall, I don't think I don't find them too much of a threat. But it's just, what's your optimism when it comes to our at least run defense? I know our pass rush is not there, but do you feel confident in at least our run defense?
No, I don't. I don't feel confident in any aspect of Tampa Bay's defense, brother. Legitimately, and that's not even me trying to rage bait or get clicks or anything like that. Like, I genuinely think that this entire defense could go away tomorrow outside of Vita Vea, and I'd be okay with it. Well, Yaya Diaby's pretty decent too, but it's like I expect Rico Dowdle to have a huge day, and that's just how I'm going into every game at this point now. 1 second, baby. That's how I'm going into every single game right now because they haven't shown me they could be a good defense in any aspect. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. And kind of talking about the defense, Zion, I forgot to mention earlier on, but Zion McCollum has been placed on IR. So that being said, we will be seeing, Ben Morrison stepping up to the plate. And, I guess I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that? Do you think Ben Morrison will at least do a mediocre job? I mean, we haven't seen that much from him. So he's, I don't know. I mean, he's shown signs of, signs of life, but I mean, he's a rookie, so maybe he needs a little bit more time, but
he's a rookie, and I think you said it perfect. He's going to need more time. We're not going to see him week one. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
I think going forward, he's going to improve, and I think this is what he needs to get significant snaps in order to get better. Zion has not been playing well. He gets beat every game. The ball might not get to the wide receiver, but he gets beat every game. You can watch it.
I've seen it, man. I still have a very vivid image for some reason of that Olave miss.
Exactly, and he was wide open.
Yeah.
So it's I don't wish for anyone to get hurt ever. I want everyone to be healthy, but I don't think this is going to hurt us, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think my thing is just as long as as long as you're able to to get the job done, if anything. So there's some other things to kind of look at, kind of bigger picture are first off the rest of our offense, looking at Jalen McMillan, Mike Evans now being back, some kind of things to look at is our offensive line able to get the job done against a rather somewhat dominant kind of pass rush situation, or at least they look pretty darn good against the Saints. But I mean we've shown that too. So a couple of kind of guys to watch out for, of course, as mentioned already, Derek Brown, Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, but on top of that, I think some other guys who might contribute, Bobby Brown, Christian Rosaboom, so DJ Wanham, just these kind of big dogs in the trenches, gonna have to do whatever it takes, and it just makes me think, because I don't have it from the top of my head, statistics wise, how much time is Baker getting back there, to look for his weapons, and if you watch the tape again, are our wide receivers getting open? So those kind of things is our offensive clicking. I do have to say, and I do want to give a shout out, because I felt like, we've been a little bit, negative, rightfully so, but Josh Guzard, I think, called a better game overall. Getting Evans and McMillan back also helped open things up. And, offensively, I think it wasn't that bad until the fourth quarter. And I think, the frustrating ending just kind of, shadows a lot of those things. So big thing, though, another one is, looking at the third down conversions. Of course, not letting, that kind of third down situation happen again, like we did against the Atlanta Falcons. But we are now going to be, kind of going, big picture, and, kind of looking at some kind of, spicy, I guess, predictions and, those kind of things. But guys, real quick though, I do want to ask you, if you're listening to this live, please do take a moment, drop your score prediction. Tell us, what are some things you're looking at? Who's maybe who's going to come out as a star of the game, or maybe some other hot takes. Do you think maybe we just completely implode and we get cooked? But we got Zach back in the house, and Zach, I would be honored to hear some spicy over-unders for this Carolina Panthers Buccaneers game. So go ahead.
It's not gonna be very spicy. Over or under a sack and a half for Tampa Bay's defense.
I'm gonna go over on this, man. I'm gonna go over. I just a sack and a half. Yeah, I feel like we'll at least get to. If we don't get to, I don't even know what to say, man. It's just and this time I'm not even gonna say, because I know we've talked about this before, that but there's been many times where our defenders almost get the guy, but I've seen where we've almost got the guy and then the guy gets past us, chucks the ball, wide receiver catches it, tight end catches it for even 40 yards, and boom, first down, and then we're reliving the Buccaneers defensive nightmare all over again. So, however, I'm gonna go over on this.
I'm going hard under.
Oh,
I think that he doesn't get sacked at all. I think that Bryce Young does not get sacked one time in this game.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, that's how confident I am in our defense.
Oh man. Okay.
So take that out. The next one is over or under 0.5 interceptions by Baker Mayfield this week.
Over under 0.5 interceptions. Oh man. I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go over on this. I just because there's so many reasons why an interception would happen. I just don't think that it's not because, oh my God, Baker is just gonna be throwing his little beer goggles out there and just chucking up passes. I think it just might be a situation where he's looking for kind of a bullet pass, hits the guy in the helmet, that kind of thing, or something. Kind of a weird interception is my thing. I guess I'll summarize it as that is. Or if it does happen, it happens because we're already down so much and Baker's just trying to do whatever the hell he can, with our offense. So I'm gonna go over on this. I think he'll get interception. But I will be shocked if we get two. Unless, again, it's a very stupid interception. It's juggling in the hands of Payne Durham, and then out of nowhere, J.C. Horn snags it. I'm not.
I am going to go under on this one as well. I'm going to go back to Baker fanboy here.
All right.
I don't know the number, but I don't think he's had very many games where he's thrown back-to-back games with an interception.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the numbers, so if you look and he does have a lot, I apologize. From watching it, I don't think I've seen very many of those this season. So I'm going to go no interceptions. I'm not sure how good of a game he's going to have, but I don't think he throws an interception in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, then. No, I can see that. Who knows what kind of game we have? Honestly, I think it's a blessing and actually no, it's a blessing or a curse, I guess. Is that what I mean? Is our Buccaneers team right now it's so up in the air, and you just don't know what kind of game we're gonna get, from our guys. So, but I do want to, kind of ask you though, what kind of score are we gonna get?
I've got Tampa losing 34-28.
Oh, damn. Okay. 34-28. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. What kind of game, kind of maybe, just give me a vibe. Is it just going to just be maybe we try to come back, or it's going to be a back and forth dogfight, but Panthers running?
No, I think it's going to be us trying to come back. I don't think our defense is really bad. And I know I've said it so much this episode.
Yeah. No, it's all good, man.
I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be realistic. I came into this season hopes pretty high, even though I was negative in the offseason about stuff that we did. But I don't see us winning out this season.
I don't blame you. You have every right to be frustrated or pessimistic about our defense, because they really haven't done anything. Our DBs are out there getting cooked. Our pass rush is non-existent. So, we continue to, not get the quarterback. This is not, the Bucs defense we know. So, however, I'm going to be a little bit more on the optimistic train. I'm going to go 27-21. Buccaneers win. I think it's going to be a close game, but I have a feeling Tampa Bay, finds a way to pull it out on the road. Hopefully so. It's just, I don't know, man. I just, my thing is, I'm just praying for the love of God we get to Bryce Young, because they don't even have a scary three-headed monster. It's just that one of those guys, one of their wide receivers, is bound to have a great game against us, and that's what's going to separate us. It's going to be the Kyle Pitts show, except the Panthers version, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it, folks. You got one guy who thinks we have a chance of winning, and then you have someone who rightfully thinks we're not, because of how we look. And guys, it's time to keep it real. And as much as sometimes I want to be optimistic, there are always opportunities to be concerned or pessimistic, whatever you want to call it. And we do thank you, though, for sticking with us through these rather choppy waters. And guys, seriously though, we love hearing your thoughts. People have commented before. We really love to hear what you all have to say. It's like 3 or 4 or 5 brains is better than just our 2 brains. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, please do, if you haven't already, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this show, and check out the rest of our RBLR crew. But we will be back with you next week, whether we win or lose or tie. Please, for the love of God, I hope that does not happen. But that being said, thanks again. And as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.